Hi all. In previous lectures, we have discussed about the different types of diversities. Either it might be time diversity, frequency diversity, open loop diversity, closed loop diversity. Okay, that is the diversity is for reliability issues. Now, the next thing which we want to discuss in MIMO or multiple input, multiple output systems is interference cancellation suppression and signal enhancement. Here, the available antenna elements at either the transmitter or receiver can be used to suppress the undesired signals and or enhance the power of the desired signal. Depending on the amount of information available about the interfering channels, following are three approaches of interference suppression and signal enhancement. First one is DOA based beam steering. DOA is direction of arrival or angle of arrival. Next one is linear interference suppression with complete knowledge of interference channels. And third one or the last one you can say is linear interference suppression using statistical knowledge of interference channels. Now in this particular topic, what we are going to discuss is how interference from other channels or the external environment can be suppressed, or we can enhance the power of the desired signal and attenuate the other unrequired signals. The first method we are going to study is DOA based beam steering or direction of arrival based beam steering. This beam steering is nothing but we have already studied in advanced communication lab wherein you have performed an experiment on the antennas Yagi and dipole antenna, and you have gone through the calculation of beam width directivity, right? That means uh, antennas can be used to propagate or receive the signal from a particular direction. You have rotated the antenna stand and thereby you have calculated what amount of radiation you are getting, right? So here the same thing is uh, referred. So what you can think is electromagnetic waves can be physically steered to create beam patterns at either the transmitter or the receiver or at both the ends. At the transmitter, this causes energy to be sent predominantly in a desired direction. In particular direction, in line of sight, we have observed the highest radiation in the 90 degree or plus 90 or minus 90 degree shift. If happens, then you have observed that there will be a least amount of radiation in the particular directions. That is what we are talking here. The more antennas are used, the more control over the beam pattern is possible. Instead of using one antenna, we can use multiple antennas. And the static pattern gain beam steering is known as sectoring concept in cellular system. We have studied in cellular system, that is sectoring in particular area. We can sector it into different small areas where one antenna will focus on particular 45 degree of area, another antenna will next 45, another antenna will next 45. This is one configuration. Somewhere you can see there will be four antennas 90 degree in particular direction, another 90 second quadrant will be covered by another antenna, third quadrant will be covered by another antenna, and the fourth quadrant is covered by another antenna, thereby four quadrants, so the complete 360 degrees covered. That concept is also based on beam steering. So this beam steering, it is characterized in terms of direction of arrival or angle of arrival. The angle of arrival is this one. If in this direction your signal is coming, then this is angle of arrival. If your signal is getting transmitted in the particular direction only, then it is angle of transmission. In this particular direction only, the maximum signal will be transmitted. I hope you have understood this. Now, uh, at the receiver, the signal is estimated using signal processing techniques such as the music, e-spirit, and MLE algorithms. There are different algorithms to extract the signal from this beam steered method. From the acquired DOAs, a beam former extracts a weighting vector of the for the antenna elements and uses it for transmit or receive the desired signal of a specific user while suppressing the undesired interference signals. So it extracts the uh, weighting vector of the antenna elements, and thereby it uses these vectors to receive or transmit the only desired signal while suppressing the undesired interference signals. Now let us go to the next slide. You can see uh, a radiation pattern or beam pattern called as null steering beam pattern for DOA, or the direction of arrival based beam forming, using 3-element ULA. ULA means uniform linear array with lambda by 2 spacing at transmitter or transmit antennas. The angle of arrivals, it is at transmitter, it is DOA based, and at the receiver it will become AOA, that is angle of arrivals of the desired user, and two interferers are 0, pi by 3 and minus pi by 6. This is pi by 3, this is minus pi by 6, and this is the desired signal direction. Okay, either it might be in positive x, or you can say here also. Okay, in this direction it will receive all the radiations coming, which will be our desired signal. In the other two direction, the signals are not received, as the antenna is tuned such that it will not receive the signal from the directions other than the desired angle of arrival. Okay, that is what we have discussed in base DOA based beam steering. Our next topic is interference suppression using complete knowledge of the interference channels. Here, let us consider multiple antenna transmitters and multiple receivers, and some interference transmitter is there, and that signal is received at the receiver. So let us go with line by line. Consider a single transmitter with NT antennas. NT is number of transmitting antennas for a single transmitter. You consider example of a base station has a single transmitter equipment, but there are multiple antennas trying to communicate to the receiver with NR greater than NT antennas. The receiver antennas are more than the transmitter antennas. In the presence of LI interfering transmitters, there are interfering transmitters are also there, which are in number Li. Thus the interfering sources will be what? Interfering sources will be L is equal to I from 1 to Li NT comma I. So there will be N transmitting antennas of the desired one. Apart from that, there are Li antennas which want to interfere with the actual signal. So for total two transmitted streams to a two antenna receiver, as shown in figure 9, the received signal model is given by y is equal to hx plus n, where y is our received signal, x is the transmitted signal, h is the matrix 2 cross 2 matrix of both desired and interference channels, and n is the noise. You can see the diagram over here. Okay, this is the desired signal. Only one transmitter is there, transmitting antenna. Two receivers are there, NR is greater than NT as indicated, and there is one interferer. If we know the impulse response of this interfering channel, H21 and H22 are impulse responses of this interfering channel, then the H matrix can be represented as H11, H12, H21, H22 is used. This matrix is nothing but our H matrix in this equation. Okay, this is the complete this gives the complete knowledge of interfering channel along with the desired channel. So using this information, we can have a zero forcing receiver. At the receiver we have some kind of signal processing where we pass the incoming signal y through a filter known as G is equal to H inverse. This should be inverse. Okay, this should have been inverse. G is equal to H inverse. Then what happens? Y multiplied by G, that is H inverse, means here Hx H inverse plus N H inverse you will get. H and H inverse will cancel out. We will be with our desired signal X only. And N multiplied by H inverse is however noise signal which can be removed easily through filtering. I hope you have understood how the complete knowledge of interfering channel helps in receiving the signal without any interference. And drawback of this particular technique is complete knowledge of interference channels is not possible at any point in time. That's why it is an over design concept. Now let us move on to our next topic, which is spatial multiplexing. Here the concept is very simple. The incoming bit stream is converted to M parallel data streams as shown in the figure, where M is equal to number of transmitting antennas, and also the number of transmitting antennas in this technique will be less than or equal to the number of receiving antennas. In a way we can say the receiving antennas must be greater than or equal to the transmitting antennas. So a spatial multiplexing MIMO system transmit multiple substreams to increase the data rate is shown in the figure here. So you can see there are NT transmit antennas. This is first one, second one. Likewise, this is the X transmitting antenna. And there are NR antennas. X is nothing but the transmitted signal, Y will be received signal, H will be the signal, the impulse response of the channel. Now you can see the incoming bit stream with bit rate R, which is minimum of number of transmitter, comma number of receivers. So this signal is now converted to parallel bit stream. If three transmitting antennas are there, then it is divided as 101, 100, 111 with the same bit rate as R. So R into 3R it is, for example. Okay. At the receiver end, what we have, three or more than three receiver antennas will be there, and some kind of program, the signal processing will be there. It combines this bit stream using parallel to serial converter, and the received signals will be given to the proceeding system. Now this rate of the receiver also will be NT comma R minimum of NT comma NR. That is, the bitrate has now increased by the factor of M. Okay, in the same time interval we are transmitting multiple signals, right? That's why our bitrate will be more than the one which we use when we use single stream or single transmitter and single receiver. Okay, I hope you have understood. And here we mention this by spectral efficiency is increased by a factor of m. M parallel streams are there means spectral efficiency will be increased by a factor of m. It implies that adding antenna elements can greatly increase the data rate without any increase in bandwidth. We are not going to increase the bandwidth of the channel. We are only increasing number of elements in the transmitter as well as in the receivers. Okay. Now, let us discuss a basic example of spatial multiplexing. Let me zoom this figure. I hope you are able to see now. You can see the incoming bit stream is modulated and they are separated as two parallel bit streams x1 and x2, and antennas will be mapped for these bit streams and they are transmitted over the channel. This is the channel characteristic. H11, H12, H21, H22 are the channel response coefficients, impulse response coefficients of the channel. At the receiver, you have two receivers, receiver antennas, which receive the signals as Y1 and Y2, and channel is estimated. After channel is estimated, then symbol estimation is possible. These symbols will be now called as x1 cap of uh, x, x cap of 1, x cap of 2, and they are demodulated and given to the subsequent system which can be utilized later. So input signal is x1 and x2, channel is H matrix, and output is y1 and y2. Let us now look at the mathematical part of it. Yes, here you can see the symbol traveled to the receive antennas by 4 separate radio paths. So the received signal can be written as follows. Y1 is equal to H11 X1, H12 X2 plus N1. N1 is the Gaussian noise added because of the channel characteristic. Then Y2 is the second output as you have seen in the figure, which is given by H21 X1 plus H22 X2 plus N2. X1 and X2 are the signals sent from the two transmit antennas. Y1 and Y2 are the signals that arrive at the two receive antennas. N1 and N2 represent the received noise and interference. Hij expresses the way in which the transmitted symbols are attenuated and phase shifted as they travel to receive antenna I from transmit antenna J. In general, the standard mathematical model for spatial multiplexing is y is equal to h into x. Here this is not suffix, okay? H into small x plus n, where y is the size of the received vector nr cross 1. The channel matrix H is nt cross nr. The transmit vector x is nt cross 1, and the noise n is nr cross 1, because it depends on the receiver structure, that is number of received antennas. The channel matrix is now given by Hij is equal to 1 by square root of 2 normalized 1. So this is the matrix. Now the entries in the channel matrix and the noise vector are complex Gaussian. In other words, the spatial channels all experience uncorrelated Rayleigh fading and Gaussian noise. The fading for this channel is considered to be Rayleigh fading model, and the noise N is Gaussian noise. This model of spatial multiplexing enables a rich framework for mathematical analysis for multiple input, multiple output systems based on random matrix theory, information theory, and linear algebra, which we have studied already. And the key points we need to summarize regarding this MIMO system, considering a single user. Single user means, consider you hold a mobile phone. In your mobile phone, there are multiple antennas for transmitting signal to the base station or receiving signal from the base station. In that case, what are the key points we need to remember about the multiple input, multiple output system? This not only includes spatial multiplexing, it includes also diversity, signal to noise ratio, all of it. Okay, the capacity or maximum data rate grows as nt comma nr of log 1 plus snr when the snr is large. When the snr is high, spatial multiplexing is optimal. Okay, when snr is high, then the capacity or maximum data rates we can achieve. When the snr is low, the capacity is much smaller than high snr. It still grows approximately linearly with nt comma nr, since capacity is linear with snr in the low snr region. So that is the difference between low snr and high snr. In low snr, the spatial the data rate grows linearly with number of transmitter or receiver antennas. In high in the high snr environment, you will have nt or nr, minimum of that is taken multiplied by log 1 plus snr. In that manner, the data rate grows. Both of these cases are superior in terms of capacity to space-time coding, where the data rate grows at best logarithmically with number of receivers. The average SNR of NT streams can be maintained without increasing the total transmit power relative to a single input, single output system. Here, the average SNR of number of transmitted streams can be maintained without increase in any power as compared to the single input single output system. Okay, power is same, only we are going to add multiple transmit antenna, and thereby average SNR is maintained, as well as we are going to get higher data rate. We can categorize MIMO systems into two types. One is open loop MIMO system, where there will not be any channel feedback from receiver to transmitter saying that these are the impulse response vectors of the channel, and uh, utilizing that, transmitter adapts itself for the transmission. It is not going to happen in open loop MIMO. Will always assume that the channel is known at the receiver through pilot symbols or other channel estimation techniques. There will be some pilot symbols or interlude symbols. Based on that, it estimates the channel and attempt to suppress the interference that results from all the NT streams being received by each of the NR antennas. NT and NR refers to number of transmitted antenna and number of receiver antennas respectively here. Now, in closed loop MIMO, spatial multiplexing is with channel feedback. The information of the channel is transmitted back to the transmitter so as to gain the advantage of channel knowledge, which is useful for adapting uh, for the transmitter. Okay, for example, using singular value decomposition that shows a potential gain of closed loop spatial multiplexing methods. Okay, the detailed explanation is not given for this, but it is significant in spatial multiplexing system to know the channel at the transmitter end also. Now, the last topic is how to choose between diversity, interference suppression, and spatial multiplexing. Here, the diversity is chosen if you want reliability, and interference suppression is chosen if you want reliability along with suppressing of different channels. Spatial multiplexing and the spatial multiplexing is chosen if you want to increase the data rate. It provides a degree of freedom or multiplexing gain and aimed at improving the data rate of the system. It creates more parallel streams but not necessarily increase the per stream signal to interference noise ratio. Okay, it only creates the parallel streams and thereby increase the data rate, but it is not going to create, or it is not going to increase the signal to noise ratio. When it comes to interference suppression, actually the interference suppression techniques whatever discussed are often considered to be impractical by the author in a cellular system and are questionable utility as described by the textbook author, and he has not given much explanation about it. Okay, in particular, diversity increases and steadies the signal, while interference suppression reduces the reliability of the signal. This is what the conclusion we'll get from the discussions we had. And the last point is diversity multiplexing trade-off. Here, whether we want diversity or multiplexing, it is the only important thing, because as interference is now we are neglecting, whether we want reliable transmission of data or the increase data rate, depending on how much gain in the data rate we want, how much reliability we want, we will choose between diversity and multiplexing. In modern wireless systems like LTE have many forms of diversity, most notably time and frequency diversity, which are exploited using coding, interleaving, transmissions, that is retransmissions, automatic request, OFDMA, and adaptive modulation techniques. So LTE uses all these techniques and thereby have introduced uh, multiple input, multiple output. These are some basic diagrams of different diversity schemes which we have studied. You just go through it, where you can see how time, frequency, and space are arranged in three-dimensional space, and you will understand how one scheme is different from another one. Okay, I hope you have understood this chapter. If you have any queries regarding any topics, you can comment in the comment section or you can contact me. Thanks for watching.